Hello guys, and welcome back to Strategic Command World War II. World at War with our first ever PvP against SirTravis. In the last episode, we were mostly doing German stuff. We looked around the map a little bit otherwise. There's still a couple of German things out there to do. For example, maybe moving this bomber somewhere else. Somewhere closer to its bombing targets. Maybe like right over here would be pretty decent. A couple of these other bombers could also move. We kind of need to face them southwards, as is south, but in supply, which is not very all-encompassing, might I just say. And then there's even more stuff, but we'll get to that when we get to that. It's just something that I noticed. We're gonna start as Japan right now, who is in a very interesting situation. At this point, we're pretty certain that the USSR has gone ahead and moved all of its eastern troops to the west, at least most of them, at least the important ones. Meaning even a half-assed counter-offensive up here could probably prove to be pretty successful. But we are currently steamrolling to Lanchow. We didn't quite get there before the entrance of America, USSR into the war, and now we have a counter-offensive to deal with over here as well. Well, let's take the North Chinese Front Army, move that down to Mandalay. So we are defending Mandalay. It's a pretty important point to defend, especially because there's a oil spot here worth 15 MPPs every turn, and my god, Japan needs MPPs. Oh, it needs MPPs. We can also move the Indochina Expedition Army down this way. The Malay Last Stand Corps. He has so much fun with these names, man. The Malay Last Stand Corps. That they are. I'm going to move the Mutagushi HQ down to Kota Baru to help the supply up on the front. The Thai Expedition Army is going to move as far forward as it can get, which is not excessively far, mind you. Have I really done enough stuff already to justify this? It may not be entirely worth it, but let's go ahead and attack. Do a blitz attack. Dealing 1 damage, taking no damage. It's better than nothing. We lowered their entrenchment as well. The paratroops won't really be necessary for Singapore. We're just going to force march them up to Moulmein, get them heading over here, because we're going to move the 1st Kwantung Army north towards Mandalay. Not force marching it. We don't want to give up that readiness and morale that we have, but we want to get close enough right here that we can project our zone of control, hopefully stop him from stepping on the oil, and then move into the oil next, which has 5 strength right now, despite only having 4 supply. That's kind of weird. Don't really understand how or why that works the way it does. We have limited MPPs as Japan. Japan is... they have so much responsibility and such little MPPs with which to accomplish the things that they need to accomplish. We're going to take the 21st Army. We're going to move it just over here to scout ahead and see what awaits us so that we don't, run in and cause a conflict. I'm then going to move up and find, oh my good god, this is barely defended at all. The HQ is a very tempting target, but so is one-shotting the Lanchow Corps, something that's probably spawned here for free for him. There is no air in range, and in fact, most of our air is simply not in range of anything right now. So air power that can be provided this turn is not very high. Arty right here does make a lot of sense, and so I will do that. We dealt 1 damage with the Arty. Better than nothing. We'll go ahead and take this opportunity. Successfully wiping out the Lanchow Corps just like that. This thing's worth 10 MPPs at full supply, which is 10, which I don't know if it will actually add up to once I am the one going for it. We could move up and just take it. Yeah, we could. We could get Lanchow literally right now. And that'd be great, because then with the fall of Yunnan, we would reach this point where I can start splitting off and spreading out my units a bit better. He does have a lot of MPPs in these other little villages, 0.25 MPPs per strength point, and a lot of his other locations, 0.5 here, will consistently give him MPPs with which to fight me with. So, something we have to worry about. But he has so many of his troops over here right now anyway, that I question what he can really muster in the long run. We're going to move the 13th Army here forward. It doesn't have the best supplies. Look, dude, all of his HQs are here. Literally all of them. He must have most, if not all, of his remaining units over here, which means it's going to be pretty difficult for him to actually muster any massive defense of the path leading to Urumqi. And then when we get to Urumqi, it'll be even easier. Projecting supply there won't be the easiest, but for example, if I just came down here to Golmund in a straight line, and then right up here, and then we just bounced 2 HQs up to Urumqi, I could probably end the war like that. It's very shock and awe, in a way. I do want to definitely catch Lan Chao right now, because that would be the best thing to do. Let's see. So, on Yan'an proper is a corps and army that doesn't even stand a chance. He really has given up on this location, otherwise I feel like he would have mentioned this. I think this army might be better off. This corps certainly has something going for it. But it also has this right here, this anti-air. And I can only do so much this turn. I'm a little limited. Wiping out those HQs is definitely important, but if he reinforces them, it's also not really that bad. I think I'll go ahead and just start by wiping out the enemy 5th army on Yan'an here. Now, we can't go and secure the capital, unfortunately. We don't have the movement points. We don't have, like, mobility spread or anything right now to be able to do that, but it is about to fall. It essentially will fall very, very soon. We're going to go secure Lan Chao, as I mentioned. So Lan Chao is mine now. Looks like it'll get the same 1 MPP per supply that it was getting before, which is fantastic. His retreat is hardly even an option at this point. I'm going to move the Central Expedition Army up from Tian Shui. We could wipe out this HQ, but there's so many HQs over here anyway that wiping out an HQ early, quote unquote, doesn't matter a whole lot. They move the 17th Army up 1 as well. And, I mean, wiping out this corps here is definitely extremely important. The anti-air is only, like, subjectively important in where it would be, where it could go. So I'm going to move the 14th Army over here to help claim that fortress and move things along there. This garrison is meant to end up right around here eventually. So we can go ahead and just move it right here for now. Move this artillery down as well. And these armies, I plan to get out of here soon. Since there's so many HQs, I'm just going to focus on what can actually do damage. The rest can be messed up later, and additionally, he might be convinced to simply spend points reinforcing these injured HQs anyway. And if he does do that, then that's actually just good for me. So we'll just go ahead and attack first with the Central Expedition Army. A blitz attack dealing 5 damage. And we actually just chased this corps away. So, okay, the 17th Army can't really attack right now. I can certainly try to bomb it to deal some damage now that it's not next to the anti-air. That would be a thing, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's do a bombing, dealing 3 damage as expected, none taken, and at this point, we're mostly just limited by the terrain, supply, and our own lack of mobility, but as of next turn, we'll just be able to move straight up and forward over there without much of any issue, really. Progress is always going to be slow and steady in China, and it's definitely the point where we have to start putting less and less into it. I'm going to take the 5th Corps here. I know I probably had other ideas for them, but we're going to operate them down to Bangkok just so I have something sitting on this capital. Frontline capitals like this need to be defended by something, I feel, right? We may eventually make it like a garrison and not a corps, but anything vulnerable to enemy attack, I would like to have a corps, even though I intend to get other corps moving out to more defensive island positions. Some of them do need to be used on the mainland, and there are plenty more corps we can buy if the opportunity shows itself. Thailand can have an HQ and 2 corps, and I did end up purchasing that in my PvE. I don't know if I will do both of those things this time around. I might end up getting the 2 corps just to have like 1 on Bangkok and 1 on Rangoon, for example, just so they're not coming from the actual limited like Japanese units. But I don't know that I would need the HQ because I don't really plan to use these Thais offensively. I have no idea why it says the Thais can get 3 HQs when they can only get 2 offensive units. That's so weird. And Nanjing! Nanjing can get a fucking corps. Well, that's actually kind of interesting. But there's other things calling our attention. We don't have any research that we need to do right now. Everything else I've intentionally skipped over. And we have this situation to deal with. So unfortunately, I never really got around to upgrading the maritime bombers. I didn't think he'd be so ballsy here. I'll go ahead and upgrade it now. I mean, it's pretty stinking cheap to upgrade a maritime bomber because they're not worth a whole lot anyway. That's why they're so effective, right? 46 MPPs only, which is like 10% of what we had at the start here. I will go ahead and upgrade this. Just get it fully upgraded right now with what research we have, because clearly he's going to be ballsy. My escort carrier here, however, if I switch this over to bombers, so we go a full bomber loadout, we could definitely deal some damage here. I don't want you taking part, so I'm just going to give you elite reinforcements. That was kind of part of the idea of why I left this here to begin with. Additionally, there's this light cruiser belonging to the DEI. We'll give that some ASW upgrades. Now I think every single ship is kind of upgraded at this point. Yeah, so they have to start getting together again, but we do have to be wary of what we see here. The escort carrier might not be rejoining the fleet at this rate. Well, we'll go ahead and do some bombing of the closer one. Submarine dives from attack. It could have taken some damage from that. I don't know, but who knows? Yeah, we don't have another attack with the escort carrier, unfortunately. He might not think that we see this. It was right here. It could have gone one of these ways, but it probably would have gone away anyway. Regardless, I will exercise some caution. I've been half tempted to rush some of these armies over here to get the attack on the eastern side of the Soviet Union going as soon as possible. The thing is, if I do that, I might allow him to hop this river and attack my artillery from behind. And while it would be great to get Vladivostok and the rest of this, like, getting taken over early, I don't think it's worth that. We'll get the Manchuli Corps up towards Manchuli. That's what I've named it, the Manchuli Corps, because it goes to Manchuli. And we'll get this 37th Army over to, let's say, to Peking. Only to Peking. We could go further and like think about force marching all the way over there, but we're not going to do that. We're either going to sit on Peking and do some upgrades, or we're going to operate as soon as possible. This army right here is a good example of something that could really benefit from just operating as soon as possible. Doesn't really need to be here at all for anything. It's not even on good supply, but it is on a rail line. So getting it at least over to Yankee, where it could maybe get some upgrades in, would be pretty handy. Or even to Kia Musuzi. Can't say these names, man. I don't think we really need to send anything up here or here, but around here could be good. We want to be on a town at the start if we're going here, just so we get the upgrades in. Right here does work for upgrades as well. Trying to go in here from the sides would be kind of weird, so we'd have to realistically have a good idea of what's on the border anyway. At the very least, I don't know if he could really see across the border into our territory very well, but if he can, then he would see if I put a unit right there. If he can't, then it wouldn't really matter anyway. And if he can and he moves units over here to defend against it, then they wouldn't be defending in the west or going on attacks into Finland, which is still something I have to fully address. 22 MPPs to operate this. I think I'll just dump it over next to Yankee. We can see there's nothing at least right here. We know that for a fact. We don't know if he could see this, but at the very least we know this. And we can get this reinforced, go for some upgrades, elite reinforcements, depending on, and go from there. Going down to Yanku to project our zone of control defensively over here is generally what I'm wanting from this area. The HQ can just chill out right now. It doesn't really need to move. It's not in any danger. It's completely fine. All this air won't really be able to stay here anymore. There's almost nothing remaining for it to really do. This Artie hardly even needs to be where it is. There's like this vague chance that he moves up close enough for this Artie to be useful next turn, but I doubt we'll even see that. It's made to go along and deal with any defensives we run into with a minimal infantry force on this side. It was initially going to be 1 Artie per 2 infantry units, but I'm probably just going to have 3 infantry units, 2 HQs, and 2 Arties. It's a little heavy in support, but I think it'll work due to how many of his own units are dying here. For now, we'll just move up here. Just because. We have the shells, maybe he'll move something closer. I doubt he'll have the ability to, but if he moves something stronger like this army onto Yan'an, then the Artie can handle it, and it doesn't have to be an aircraft thing. We're going to upgrade this DEI sub, give it its advanced subs. There you go. Make it more useful. We will end up doing a couple other things here. I have to be very careful about what I do here. I'll move the Soryu carrier south this way and go lodge it, let's say right there. That works out pretty well. And then we have another carrier here, the Zuikaku, that's going to move just right around over here. This area seems to be clear. Okay, that's good. That will help with what I'm doing. So we got 4 fleet carriers right here. We do have another fleet carrier, the escort carrier. The escort carrier might stay where it is for a little bit until these subs kind of go and fuck off. The maritime bombers will be good enough to defend this region, probably in the long run here. We do need to get other ships down. And the thing is, some of these other ships have to worry about those subs with what angle they choose to approach from. So again, have to be very careful. I think we could take the Fuso and just send it. I might even want to just force send it somewhere. We don't need the droider to be like right here specifically. So I'll just send it over there. We'll get this battleship over in the port where it can be a little bit better defended. This destroyer really doesn't need to worry about as much. Definitely not. Some things are in close enough ports that it doesn't make an insane amount of sense to move them anyway. I'll get this destroyer headed down there towards this. This could be a decent enough gathering hub. Because the idea here is we're either going to take this, going to gather up, and either head down here to claim Kuching and Brunei, which, while useful, seems maybe kind of wasteful. Or we're going to have to bring it down south and go for potentially Port Moresby, but more importantly, Sydney. Based on my experiences, though, in the PvE, I know that using these carriers to try to bomb a land target is really, really not the simplest thing in terms of taking something. The main thing would be to clear some sort of path for a big force. We can have 5 more long-range transports. That does sound potentially good enough. Imagine 6 special forces all landing. I mean, maybe all special forces might be a little fucking ridiculous, but imagine this. We show up over here, we clear this port of any enemies, and then special forces right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then they all just advance in from there. They would have supply for a couple of turns to do something like that, although really taking Sydney is a higher priority than I make it sound. I know for a fact that he has an American HQ down here, and I wouldn't be surprised if he had even more stuff than that. Air power wouldn't have to worry about if I sent the carriers there too. The air power wouldn't be a problem. It's just up to if we have enough special forces to really conquer. This is a very important thing to take. Australia specifically. It would be easier to take New Zealand, honestly. And maybe we could do that first, but Australia will have to fall if we're going to get a decisive victory. And I think India's way more vulnerable, so I don't necessarily want to go for it first. I'd rather go down south. I don't know if we should hit up Brunei and Kuching on the way. Regardless, none of that is really excessively important right now. We do want to get probably these screens out of here. These screens don't need to be exactly here. They need to be screening. We'll take this battleship and we'll move it down towards truck. This battleship, force move it over to truck. Take this battleship, move it down here so it's next to that destroyer that I had already moved forward. We have the Mogami heavy cruiser. We'll get that into position shortly. The Congo battleship is probably just gonna come down over. Oh, this is tough because again we know there's probably something over here, right? So probably just to right around here, Nagasaki-ish, for right now will work. The Abakuma light cruiser is capable of trekking down towards the Marianas. We'll move the Fubuki over here for the time being. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else. I guess nothing else massive is going to be making its way over here right now. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. So you can probably go right there. And you can head over here. The carriers, we don't want them to necessarily be in a super dangerous spot or anything. I mean, right now we don't have enough of these things here. Screens to really make sure they're safe, I think. No, we might actually. Just gotta start piling them on. If I had moved this over here, this would be simpler, easier. But it's fine. It is what it is. It's also hard to make sure I even have all of my naval units to begin with. I'm pretty sure that I have most of my naval units to begin with. There's 306 MPPs remaining, and there are just so many things to do. I know God, man. Without an HQ, nothing is getting above 8 here, is it? Without an HQ, nothing here is getting above 8. Except things that are freshly recruited. And I'm probably going to freshly recruit some stuff. I do want to get the DEI better defended, because I really haven't invested a lot into that. So, one singular core with every upgrade except mobility. I don't think we'll need mobility in the DEI. But everything else, we will if he invades. And historically, he should invade. We'll get the Sower Baja core. We're going to actually put it on Sower Baja to help fortify Java. And we'll get that purchased right now. That was 197 MPPs. That leaves us with 109 MPPs. We can reinforce the first fighters here up to 8. We're down to 84 now. If we go into our core on Batavia, we can upgrade that for 47 more MPPs, no mobility, and we're down to 37 only. I'm gonna reinforce these tactical bombers here. They're too far away to do anything else right now anyway. And these medium bombers, they could get an upgrade to long-range aircraft. Naval weaponry is really optional, I think. I'm just uncertain if that's a wise usage of my very little remaining MPPs. We won't need them, like need them for a little bit. The main thing I would love to make sure that I get with them, though, is that elite reinforcement. I'm going to send them down to Nanning for right now. It gets them in the direction I want them. I want these medium bombers placed right over here. And then I want like a attack bomber here and a attack bomber here. Kind of focusing down the Indian front. And then somewhere in there, I'll squeeze in a fighter, I guess. We are going to need more garrisons as well. If we do take Vladivostok, we're going to need a garrison over there. We have 1 built right now, and we're going to need still to bring 2 over to Lanchao. And I didn't really leave enough MPPs for that, but that's okay, I think. We can worry about that in a little bit. We do still have cores just filling up the homeland because I haven't shipped any of them out to play defensive roles yet. I'm going to upgrade the special forces in Kukum to have some anti-air in case he shows up with any carriers. Anti-air can be invaluable. This one as well, anti-air. The special forces will definitely need anti-air with the hostile environments they're going to be operating in. And then that's pretty much Japan right there. Looking back at Germany, where there was still some things I could accomplish. I mean, look at this. Potentially, we could accomplish an attack right here. 0 to 1, blitz attack. The odds are in our favor. We dealt 2 damage and took none. That is definitely in our favor. He'll either reinforce it or he'll shift it away with something else. Probably. We still need to deal with this mess over here in Finland. And so, this is a mess. The army has the most leeway in terms of survivability, and the Helsinki Corps isn't too bad off either. We'll start with the army. Let's use the army against the Sky Farmer paratroops. 6 damage dealt, and 1 received. And then if we use the Helsinki Corps, 2 damage dealt, and 1 received. The only thing that was really strange there was... I don't even know. Nothing was really completely abnormal, realistically, as far as that goes. So if I move this core up, you know he's just going to attack this core, especially because it's weakened. They're both weakened a little bit. There is no entrenching here, no matter what. Like, regardless, there just is no entrenching here. I am tempted to try to go around here to kind of mess with them a little bit. I could get the first corps back down over there. Now that the paratroops are dead, I don't really need to worry about maintaining any rear defense. I did pay for this extra corps, and I might as well fucking use it, right? To some extent. We'll move the Helsinki Corps forward. He's probably going to go crazy on it, but the thing is, he's taken a lot of damage too. So even though we are a little bit injured, so is he. The Suomussalmi Corps was going to force march behind Helsinki, where they can get some reinforcements away from the coast so he doesn't see them. He doesn't know where to bomb them, ideally, and then get them reinforced. They couldn't really reinforce very well from where they were. They didn't have the best supply. We want to get them fully reinforced, ideally, and from right there is probably the best place to do that. Now, we want to keep moving. Not quite sure how to do this, honestly. I think right down here would be good. It would be decent enough, at the very least. If I move a core way out ahead, it's just going to get beat up, is probably my main concern. It's just going to get beat the fuck up. So that is a concern. I could operate this and get this. No, it's going to be behind anyway. So tell you what, we're going to force march the second corps down here, which is in supply enough to resupply, like reinforce if need be. And we'll force march this to Kuopio, so it's ready to reinforce next. We'll operate the first garrison. Do we even need to operate it? Well, we don't need to. We don't need to. He doesn't have the paratroops anymore. So we'll go with just something like this. Move our way over there with the first garrison. And ideally he's too injured to sustain the assault and deal any other massive damage. I don't plan to use it like this, but we'll move the blue tanks forward just to kind of scare him on this side, ideally. Show some presence, show some force. With Germany's remaining MPPs, there's many things I want, and I've been staring at the screen for like 20 minutes trying to figure out what the things I want the most are. I'm just going to upgrade the Genoa Corps there, and I know we need more garrisons. We're going to need so many more garrisons, especially with all this land that we're fucking taking. At some point, upgrading things like HQs could be incredibly useful as well. Having mobility on them is invaluable, but of course, mobility on HQs is a recipe for very high costs. There's only one unmoved one over here right now if I wanted to go ahead and say upgrade Von Lieb, who can be replaced by somebody else still as well. There's no more increasing. We already have max command and control. I think I'd rather just take the upgrades. Anti-air and mobility. That's 113 MPPs. That's a lot. But I'll take it. You know, we're going to want that at some point. Might as well get it now. It'll give him more versatility, more movement capability. We have 168 MPPs remaining. And I guess I kind of have an idea of how I want to spend this. I almost decided to purchase a carrier again this turn. I almost decided to purchase a lot of things. But just the maritime bomber, that seems well enough. And so what we'll do is, because I counted we'll need something like around 9 more garrisons for partisan duty, probably before the USSR surrenders. Once they surrender, these garrisons will basically be useless, because there's an option that gets rid of the need for garrisons, and that's probably the one we're going to pick. And yeah, but we do need them right now to make sure the rest of my units are freed up, because we haven't really been buying any new actual units, and these garrisons are way cheaper than just simply buying units. So we're going to purchase some garrisons, probably just 3 of them, probably just filling in the rest of it. So 1, 2, 3, because the way I saw it, we need potentially 1 for Leningrad, definitely 2 for right here, potentially 1 for here. We have, what the hell? Once again, I did that without realizing, without knowing how I did it. That's weird. Potentially 1 for Gorky. I don't know if we already have 1 for Moscow. Potentially 1 for Moscow, Saratov over here in the east. We're going to need, see, quite a bit more. So as a plan, that works out pretty all right in my head. We're going to reinforce this corps with Italy in the meantime. We cannot upgrade this because it's directly bordering an enemy unit. Well, we'll deal with that in a little bit. We'll upgrade this one with infantry weapons. We're gonna move, I think I was moving you to Tobruk, ideally. I think that was the situation, yeah. But you all have the same destination realistically, and that's to get over to Tripoli to defend against any potential Operation Torch. And you were gonna head to Tobruk and just sit on that. So I'll send you over there. We'll send the HQ over this way. And then what does it show for supply in this region? I mean, not amazing. Not amazing. But we'll move this tank to Siwa Oasis. We'll move this corps right here. And that's moving it in the right direction then. We'll do some scouting. Let's say right around here. Nothing spotted along the way there. Don't know if we could spot submarines in our path, but we certainly didn't spot anything this time around. Italy has 94 MPPs. We can reinforce the Abyssinia Corps back up to 8. That's as high as we'll really get it without an HQ down there. If we did send an HQ down there, probably just would have died. If we sent another corps down there, maybe good things could have happened, but I feel like it would have, I don't know, been bad. I'm just amazed. I'm so amazed that we held it. We already know we're going to be playing it defensive over here now. I don't know if he knows, but we know. We're going to keep getting our Navy prepared for any potential naval engagements. That means an upgrade on this battleship, naval weaponry, upgrade on this battleship, naval weaponry, and reinforce this battleship, which is already upgraded. We have 13 MPPs remaining, and realistically, nothing except the upgrades on some garrisons, really, to spend it on. Our supply, otherwise, over here, looks pretty fine. We're not expecting anything special here, so we'll just move the planes forward to give them a little bit better range. Not that they need it, but we can give them some better range. And unfortunately, it looks like I missed one of the battleships. That's a whoops. My bad. I almost forgot. We're going to be moving these submarines because we see he has a motor torpedo boat on the way. We do not want to get caught up in that. So we're just going to move back to the nearest island chain where we could get advanced subs level 2 on, and then they could maybe go support our fleet when the time comes. I totally forgot about these HQs. Good thing I'm doing some looking around, seeing what we have. 8765. This completely falls off over here anyway. Not sure how you're boosting anything at all from over here. Can't be from this. No, it's got to be like some bouncing around here. I can't imagine that this is involved, which is important because I want to move this south and get it moving towards the Indian front. 3 HQs down here, 2 HQs in China, and 1 HQ over here by relative importance. We have 2 HQs over here right now. One of these will probably be heading to Australia. One of these to the Philippines. Those are pretty important locations to hold. Maybe both of them will head to Australia. I don't know. We don't have any more that we're going to get for free, it looks like. So we'll just move back towards Kwei Chao. What does that do to supply? Supply stays the same, which is pretty good. I forgot to reinforce this unit over here as well, which is unfortunate. But we can just keep moving it a little bit further down the road because so long as the Konglomerat HQ is here, then this is fine. And in fact, just Lashio in general looks like it'll be pretty fine. Or better yet, let's just move the 11th Regional Army down this way where the main push he has coming for us is coming from. I don't know if he's going to try to push through the jungle, but I think we have the ability to respond to that if needed. This will change supply in the region to be a little more favorable. Maybe not much, but it'll at least let the HQ link up with more. Wanting is still going to be very well supplied, so we'll go leave the 17th Korean Army on Wanting for now, where it can get some reinforcements later if need be. And you know what? Let's take a little bit of this remaining German MPPs and put it into Peru. Infantry weapons and anti-air max on this core, just to make his life a little bit harder if he tries to land here. The 15 per turn MPPs that we get from this country makes this well worth it, I think. So let's go ahead and hit end turn because I believe we finally got everything. So China suffers morale from the loss of Lanchao. Soviet from the loss of Moscow. We celebrate the capture of Moscow. USSR moves government to Kubyshev. China moves government to Urumqi. That's 2 capitals fallen. Wow. 25 MPPs plundered from Moscow only? That's crazy. Mexico joins the Allies, which is expected. Survivors from Lanchao reform the units in Urumqi. It's a free core for him. And British commandos raid Ostend. Ugh. U-32 hit by rough seas. That's a shame. Probably took something out of supply. Advanced tanks level 3. Advanced fighters level 3. Advanced subs level 2. Oh my god. Indie tech level 2. Germany just got so much tech to do. Japan indie tech level 2. Great. Tons of MPPs is Germany. Good. We might need it for research. Japan collected 390. Good, but god, you need more. And that's our turn. So that's the full episode as well. We'll pick this up on another episode when he gets to turn back to us. So for now, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.